What is the meaning of amanah? According to the people of tafsir, amanah, qawi and al-amanah is actually the ayah related to Musa alayhi salam.
يا أمتي فاستبشري مهما تكاثرت الجراح والله مولانا ولا.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in wa la udwana illa 'alal zalimin. Qala rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir ya karim, amma ba'd. Thank you very much to the chairperson, to the organizer who actually I've been honored to be invited to share some of my thoughts in this session, to the scholars and all of the audiences that participate in this event. Alhamdulillah, we made it to this far, and I've been told that some of the participants may absent today due to the long weekend granted by the new Prime Minister of Malaysia. That is good or bad? Right, Malaysia has been known for so many holidays, because we are multiracial in Malaysia, so being, entertaining all of these races and religions has been one of the top priority for Malaysian politics and politicians. As I remember, when I was in the UK, there is no celebration for Ramadan or celebration for Eid al-Fitr, even though there are a lot of Muslims over there. Okay, so go back to the topic that being entrusted onto me by the organizer. So the decline, internal and external causes. So supposedly I'm not to discuss the solution, from the topic that been given to me is only to expose the causes, internally and external factors that lead to the decline of the Muslim community and the Muslim nations and the Islamic nations. But first, the question that need to be addressed is, what is the peak and what is the decline? We have to be agreed on that question first. Because for some, the peak means that you are what? You are the multi-billionaires or multi-millionaires. You see the Muslim all around the globe, those who controlling the top companies and corporation, big corporation in the world. Is the success from our definition? Or we are just so-so, they call it. But at the same time, we are happy, we are pious Muslims, we are performing our daily prayers without, any full. But at the same time, we are consumers. We are consuming the product that being produced by the non-Muslim, and we're happy with it. Is that a success? Which one? This is a very difficult topic that been given to me at a very difficult time, which is after lunch. All right, very difficult topic at a very difficult time, and in a very short moment, and I also don't know the background of the audiences. That make the discussion is even more difficult, because if we know who are the audiences, I may know how to adjust the level of the discussion. But, that is normal in the big conferences. The speaker need to adjust by themselves, and we hope that everybody can cope with the point that I want to share. Okay, again, for introduction, if you look to the Islamic history and the leadership of the caliphates, of course, at the time of the prophets and four guided caliphates, we can say without any doubt that is actually when Islam and their administration are at the peak, right? But we must not forget that after the four guided caliphates, almost 1,000 years after that, the Islam still have the caliph. Is that a success or not? When Islam has his own caliph, administer and govern the whole Islamic countries without borders, or may be with borders, but still under the government, the central government of Muslim caliph. Is that a success, or the success in your definition that you want to achieve? So that's really difficult for us to agree on one particular thing, which is what is actually peak and success that we want to achieve. I, as a speaker today, may have some luxury to deliver and share my opinion, but of course, not necessarily it is really correct, accurate, and can be accepted by all of the audiences. But I try my best, inshallah, to give some of the insight. Because if you look through the Islamic history and caliphates, please mention several caliph names that you think is upholding justice and at the peak of the Islamic administrations. Of course, after the four guided caliphates, I'm sure that you will mention Umar bin Abdul Aziz, Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in, and also who? Who else? Anybody? Huh? Please, communicate with me. Anybody else? Harun al-Rashid, okay. Then, who else? Only that? We have 800 years or what? Who else? Huh? Uthmaniyah is the dynasty name, you know. The name of the caliph. Some mention Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. Some mention Muhammad al-Fatih. That's correct. You know? And some mention Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan. Yes, maybe correct. And then, that's it. For 100 years, we only can mention several names. What that means is that, do we actually perform during the stint of the Islamic Caliphs? And what do we want to repeat from that? Yeah, we want to repeat several caliphs during that time, you know, of course. But again, if we look into that fact, we should understand that, of course, after the demise of the prophets and the companions of the prophets, at the time of the four guided caliphs, is there any quarrel, disagreement between the companions? Yes. So disagreement must not be viewed as failure, correct or not? Disagreement must be viewed as healthy discussion, but how you deal with the disagreement will determine whether or not you are a very successful leader, or, you know, unperformed leader. All right? So that is one of the things that we must comprehend. To look back to some of our history is not that great. If you look into deeper into that history, for example, during 400 after Hijrah, you know, there are some great disagreement between the sect or madhahib, and after this mosque being controlled by one madhab and the other mosque controlled by other madhab, and when they are delivering the Friday sermon, khutbah, both masjid are using, quite, harsh word to the other groups. And immediately after they disperse from the Friday prayers, the two groups, collide. And what happened is that they are fighting, such as they are fighting in the Badr battle and killing each other. That is during the Islamic Caliphate. Happened several times. So this is the topic that is very difficult for me to make a summary and in a very concise manner, because it, related to many things. But I'll try my best. Okay? So now we move to the internal causes. What would be the internal causes? So the internal cause can be categorized into two. Number one, individual level. So if we look at the individual level, that may have a great impact to the community level and the administration of the Islamic nation level, has been well conveyed by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, the Prophet mentioned, "Wa inni lastu akhsha alaykum an tushriku, walakinni akhsha alaykum ad-dunya an tanafasuha." Meaning that in this hadith, authentic hadith, narrated and recorded by Bukhari and Muslim, by Allah, I can see with my own eyes the Hawd from this place. This is mentioned by the Prophet about the Hawd of Kawthar. I'm not afraid that you will associate anything with Allah in worship after my demise, but I apprehend that you will fight with one another for the life of the world. So this has been clearly stated by the Prophet, that this will be the first internal cause that lead to the decline of the Islamic identity and Muslim identity. In the other hadith, also authentic hadith, almost the same, at the time of Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah, collected some tax from Bahrain, and at that time, on his way back to Medina, so some of the companions from an Ansar went to Salah Subuh prayer with the prophets, and before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam managed to leave the mosque, the companions stopped him, with a smiling face, and the Prophet replied their smiles and saying that, okay, I know you heard about Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah is in his way back from Bahrain, bringing a lot of, collection of wealth. And the Prophet said, yes, you can take whatever you need. However, the Prophet said, فَوَاللَّهِ لَا الْفَقْرَ أَخْشَى عَلَيْكُمْ, I do not fear poverty upon you. وَلَكِنِّي أَخْشَى عَلَيْكُمْ أَن تُبْسَطَ عَلَيْكُمُ الدُّنْيَا, but I fear that the world, i.e. material possession, will be spread out for you just as it was spread out for those before you. Then you will start competing in the dunya as the previous people had competed, and it will destroy you as it has destroyed those before you. So again, in almost the same phrase, the Prophet reminding the companions about the danger and the fitnah of dunya, the wealth it is not only the wealth, but the wealth and power and the influence and the authority and etc. And then together with the wealth, okay, this one may be a little bit, sensitive. The Prophet also mentioned, Inna dunya hulwatun hadirah wa inna Allah ta'ala mustakhlifakum fiha fayanzur kaifa ta'malun fattaqud dunya wattaqun nisa. Authentic hadith recorded by Muslim. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the world is sweet and green, alluring, and verily Allah is making you to succeed each other, generations after generations, in order to see how you act. So beware of this world and beware of woman. Okay, now the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam add one more element to the challenge that need to be faced by leader, especially men, because leadership normally are being controlled and dominated by men, So now we have the dunya and all of the luxuries of dunya will be the internal causes for the decline, and it has been proven repeatedly during the Islamic Caliphate. Before Umar bin Abdul Aziz stint as Caliph, very bad. The Caliphate at that time imposing, oppressing taxation, and then taking wealth to themselves and their family, enjoying life and authority, and then not upholding justice. But at the time of Umar bin Abdul Aziz, 99 to 101 Hijriyah, he managed to turn it around. And it is mentioned that Umar bin Abdul Aziz, prior to become Khalifah, he is quite chubby. But when he became a Khalifah, he became very thin. Because of what? Because he tried at his best not to consume any wealth of the government and the nation for himself and his family. And he made announcement to his family that whatever you have from the precious metal that you have, the jewelries, we need it for the nation. If you don't want to give it to me for the Baitul Mal, you may leave me. And then that is what happened to him and his family. So we can see and we learned that at the time of Umar bin Abdul Aziz, that almost there is no poor and needy to receive zakah distribution, right? That is actually two facts. Number one, yes, there are two small number of poor and needy are there to receive those zakat distribution. But number two, there are those poor and needy, but they are declining to accept the zakah payment, zakah distribution, due to the fact that they want to work by themselves. So there are two explanation or maybe interpretation in that area. But it is clear that at the time of Khalifah Umar bin Abdul Aziz, the number of zakat payer increased in a lot, because of what? Because he helped the businesses to grow, and he helped by using the Baitul Mal money for irrigation and to decrease the tax, and sometimes abolishing some oppressing taxation for the people, So that happened at the time of Umar bin Abdul Aziz, as per mentioned by many books that specializing in and researching on Umar bin Abdul Aziz's life. among others by Shalabi. Okay, so now there is two. And then these two facts, the world and its luxury and also woman influence, evil woman influence, not all women, of course, has been also mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, Surah Al-A'raf, verse number 175. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فَأَتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانُ فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. This verse, according to Mufassirin, among others, Ibn Kathir and many more, are actually explaining the Asbabul Wurud, explaining about Bal'am bin Ba'ura. Do you know about this story of Bal'am bin Ba'ura or Bul'am bin Ba'ura? He is one of the scholars at the time of children of Israel. This is not Israel now, you know. Israel is Yaqub and Zulkifli, you know, the original one. Okay, so Bal'am bin Ba'ura has been granted on him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that his supplication are always accepted instantly. Always accepted instantly. You know? And at the time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam and his people coming to this Bal'am bin Ba'ura village, the villagers at that moment come to see Bal'am bin Ba'ura and says that, "O Bal'am, you have to supplicate towards Allah to banish all of these Prophet Musa and their companion, because we are afraid that Prophet Musa is very strong and also their people. If they come here, they will take over our place and they will chase us out of our own village." So Bal'am bin Ba'ura at the first glance refused and declined to do so. He said, "Hey, Prophet Musa is a prophet, and I also gain this knowledge coming from Allah. So how come I will supplicate against Prophet Musa alayhi salam?" But what happened is that the villagers continuously asking and also at the same time trying to attract approval by Bal'am bin Ba'ura by saying that we will offer you this if you do so. We will offer you that, the luxury of the dunya. And Bal'am still refused until they offer too much. And Bal'am bin Ba'ura is no longer can decline the offer, and he take his donkey, go to the mountain and try to supplicate to Allah. But the donkey doesn't want to move. And then Bal'am hit his donkey. And then the donkey stand up and sit down again. And then Bal'am hit it again several times, and then the donkey is now bringing Bal'am on top of the mountain, and then Bal'am is now ready to supplicate towards Allah against Prophet Musa and their people. At the time that he wants to supplicate doa against Prophet Musa, Bal'am tongue has some trouble. Yeah? He missed saying. He's supposed to say bad towards Musa sallallahu alaihi salam and also their people, but instead of doing that, he is saying bad things to be on to their villages and themselves. So that happened. And it is also mentioned by some mufassir that what happened at the same time, that the tongue of Bal'am lull out of his mouth. And in the Quran, in the Surah Al-A'raf, verse 176, mentioned about kalb. in tatruku yalhath, about kalb, about the dog. If you just ignore the dog is still loll out its tongue. And if you play with it, still the same. It is mentioned that this is analogy for Bal'am bin Ba'ura after the supplication. And there is some other scholars continuing the story by saying that that is at the first time. And then what happened, Bal'am will not retract. He actually plays some plan in order to ensure that he will be able to supplicate. And then what happened, according to some scholars, Bal'am asked the villagers who have daughters and prettiest young girls among the villagers, and to be sent to flirt with the people of Musa alayhi salam. And when that happened, now Bal'am bin Ba'ura may supplicate towards Allah because of the sin that has been committed by the people of Musa. Now Bal'am managed to do the supplication. Wallahu alam about the extension of the story, but it is mentioned by many scholars as well. In short, and in summary, I want to say that is the decline, that is the factors that we already mentioned just now. The decline of the Muslim is because the luxury and woman sometimes, you know. And the same, almost the same story mentioned by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, with regard to the Barshisha. You know Barshisha story? In the hadith, long hadith, the Barshisha story about, again, the scholars, not only normal scholars, very obedient scholars, and then being approached by two soldiers, where there's one of their sisters being, shaitan. This is because of the shaitan, and then what happened is that fall ill, and then nobody can has the remedy for this illness, and then these two brothers bring their sisters to Barshisha for treatment. At first, Barshisha just reject, don't want to entertain, don't even get the chance to enter his house. And then what happened, the two soldiers, brothers, have to go to the war and the battles. He left their sisters in the corridor of this Barshisha's house. And then Barshisha just ignore. And then come evil, voice mention that. But, evil is very, very professional. They want to trap you with the good deeds. So that is how Barshisha being trapped. Evil say to the Barshisha that, how come you left a girl with an illness alone in front of your house without any treatment, without any drinks, without any food? At least you give her some food, some drinks, and then just close the door, finish. And that is what Barshisha done. Give some food, and then close the door. And then the evil voice come again, do some other things, and other things, and other things, and then zina occurred. And that is what happened. Again, this is what we call the internal factors, where we, when we are not strong enough to fight these internal causes. So don't mention about politics, don't mention about economy, don't mention about administration, don't mention about jama'ah. All of that will be secondary when this cannot be faced by the Muslim community. All right, so that is number one, number two, the dunya and all of the things. And then the other internal factors, not at individual level, but at the collective level and nation level. Weak leaders and ineffective government. You know? So according to Ibn Khaldun, Islamic society began to decline with the failure of the political authority. That is what Ibn Khaldun's summary. And then, yes, we can suggest this thing. It suggests that a functioning government is needed to uphold Islamic law, not only Islamic law in jinayah, but also Islamic law and administration in mu'amalat, not only in jinayat, in mu'amalat, and also in siyasah, you know. So don't confine and limit the understanding of Islamic law to just criminal law. That is quite dangerous and misleading, you know. So we must open the substance of Islamic law is not confined to the criminal law only, all right? So when I mention about this, a functioning government can only be sustained, number one, by its people. So in order to fight this decline of the Muslim community and nation, we must enrich and educate the people. Because the people is the one who determine will be at the success or at failure. So I still remember when I was in Dubai several years ago, being taken by one of my friends to the highest Burj Khalifa. And I still remember that some of the documentary mentioned about how the technology being implemented for this Burj Khalifa, where the lift technology is very developed, and you know, because very tall building, if you are taking from the ground level to be at the top, you may take several minutes, and it is not efficient. So the technological part need to be there in order to ensure there is no mistakes in that area, and to enhance the technology so that the lift technology is very advanced, so it can bring one to another in simple second. It's great advanced technology. But if the people arrive at the ground floor at a very late moment, it's almost the same, right? If they are not praying subuh and then waking up from their sleep at 10 o'clock in the morning, so even though you have that type of advanced technology, it will not benefit you in a proper manner. Correct or not? It's all about the people. So we must ensure that this type of education, not only just a simple and general type of discussion like this conference, we must have what it takes to ensure that we understand. And again, there is no assurance that when you understand and you have the knowledge and you became scholars, you can lead the government and you can lead the nation and you can be one of the nucleus of the success. No, because there is so many types of scholars. Some scholars are good at hadith, some scholars are good in tafsir, but if you give them mu'amalat questions, they don't know. And some scholars good at 3 different categories of knowledge, but they cannot administer. They are not good administrator. If you give them, you will fail. And you say you want to have a pious guy to become your leader, right? That is the nucleus of the success. But maybe not. That is already mentioned by Ibn Taymiyyah. That sometimes, and it is actually from the understanding of inna khayra man istajarta al-qawiyul amin. Allah mentioned in the Quran, those who you should hire to become your servant is those who has what? Qawi al-amin. Qawi is strong. And al-amin amanah. Al-qawi mentioned by Allah first. Is there any implication when Allah mentioned first and then later? Yes, in the Quran, every word that have been mentioned by Allah later or in front or at the back has some elements of of understanding. You know? So again, Al-Qawiyul Amin, when it goes to the administration, we need to have Al-Qawi. Al-Qawi in terms of what? Yes, Al-Qawi in terms of health, in terms of what? In terms of skill, in terms of influence and authority, in ability to convey message and deliver the message in a very clear manner, and the thoroughness. When it comes to get your approval, you have the strength in scrutinizing and analyzing all of these applications. Because if not, if you are a leader and then you are just so lazy, you just want to recite Quran, and then you do some sunnah prayer, nawafil prayer, and then when people give you all of this paperwork to be scrutinized, and then you feel lazy, you say, okay, I pass it, approve. And you are not aware that there are some corruption happening under your responsibility. So that's why Al-Qawi is number one. And then number two is Al-Amin, Amanah. What is the meaning of Amanah? According to the people of Tafsir, Amanah, Qawi and Al-Amanah is actually the ayah related to Musa alayhi salam, right? And then Musa alayhi salam in the Tafsir Ibn Kathir mentioned, what is Qawi? Like Musa, very strong, very strong. It can uplift this barrel of water with his bare hands, and other people need 20 people to uplift the same barrel of waters. Meaning that they're very healthy, very strong. And then what is the meaning of amanah in the story? Because at first, the Prophet Musa alayhi salam has been said, need to follow these girls to their houses, right? And then in order to be, ensure that the Prophet Musa will not be attracted to the hasanat of these women, the Prophet Musa said, no, let me be in front. You guide me where to go. That is amanah, means that he is very aware about the eyes of Allah, about sins, about the tricks of women and evil tricks due to women, So that is amanah. So we need both. If you don't have both, you need to have the collective person that have both to be in the organization. All right? So that's why sustained by its people. Number two, who are sustained by wealth. So if you have good people, but you don't have resources, you don't have wealth, it's not sustainable as well. So that's why when we talk about Islamic decline, so now we look at our community, we are the consumers. We are not the producers. In Malaysia alone, according to JAKIM, the producer of halal food and beverages that managed to get the halal logo, 70% of them are the non-Muslim. Why? They are hardworking. They are hardworking. What about Muslim? They are consumers. They are very active on the social media. But they are using social media being created by the non-Muslim. They are full of hatred to the Israel. Yes, but they are using Waze. Waze is technology by the Israelis. And Waze, if you are using Waze, they can easily track you. And then you say, we are full of hatred to the Israel and their aggression and those who are allies with the Israel. Who? US. The US. When you use Google and when you use Apple, they know everywhere you go. They know everywhere you go. We are too weak to produce our own product. Why? Don't know. It's a very difficult discussion, right? So that's why I myself, I left International Islamic University from becoming, as a lecturer to be an entrepreneur. to create jobs, to create my own. I have my own slaughtering chicken plant, and I have my own solar energy engineering team, I want to create jobs. I want to become a producer. I want to contribute in that way, not only in delivering speeches, writing books, just like I already did, about 20 books, but all of us need to play a role in that area. And then sustained by wealth, which is attained by development, which is attained by justice, which is the responsibility of the government. The responsibility of the government. All right? So these internal causes, I think a bit, and also we can say that the decline in education, science and technology, of which were vibrant in the first centuries of Islam, and now we are left behind. We are lagged behind. At the time of the Prophet used technology, used mathematics, use the current technology at that moment, at that time. The Prophet is not the one who introduced dinar and dirham. No. Dinar and dirham is one of the technology at that moment. The Prophet adapt and then modify. That is why we call it Sharia compliant. It is not initiated by Islamic community and even the prophets, but we accept and then we modify according to our needs and our conditions. Just the same like slavery. Slavery is coming from Islam or no? No. Slavery system is not coming from Islam. But at the time of the Prophet, Islam accept or not? And then in the Quran it is accepted? Yes. But Islam modify the nature and how the treatment of slavery. You can read Adabul Mufrad by Imam al-Bukhari. There is one full chapter about how you have to treat your slaves. And also being encouraged for all Muslims who have slaves to release them. So again, but now we are being left behind. We don't have this. I have some friends, expert in cyber security. And this expert, a real expert in Malaysia, they can hack into your phone. Now, if you give the number, they can hack into your phone immediately. And if you give them your email, he can immediately know from their system 10 years ago what is your password. So when I discuss with these guys, they say, Doctor, you want to know which country is the most advanced in cybersecurity and its attacks? I don't know. America? No, it is Israel. Israel. Because of what? Because Israel, they anticipate the attack from various avenues that sometimes is not being think by ourselves. When we are living in a very comfortable and comfort zone, we are not thinking about the attacks coming from this, from that, but they are living in hell, so they are thinking about all of the possible attacks, avenues that may come from here, from there. They do all of the cybersecurity works. So again, we are being left behind in the technological part. That's why I myself, with my companies, we try to come up with the technological solution. Because if your company use what we call QuickBook, QuickBook? One of the cloud accounting software. And coming from all of the Western countries, from the non-Muslim companies, yeah, it's good, great technology. But why there is no Malaysian companies that can provide the same? So that's why I gather some of the Muslim developer, good developer, and also accountant. We do our own cloud server accounting software, so that we can become the producer and not only the consumer. So science and technology, and also lack of political support. And then we have also the internal causes, which is the weakened scholars. So we know this is very sensitive issues. I commingle with a lot of scholars, Arab scholars, Western scholars of Islam, and also these Middle East and also these South Asian scholars, So I am also sit in several fatwa board, in several institutions and states. And I learn a lot. What I learned is that some scholars, they fail to make themselves relevant to the current development and administration. When they are being given the chance to be one of the board, one of the member, one of the administrator, they fail miserably. They don't understand about the administration. They don't understand about the accounting. They fail to understand about this and that. So all of the followers and also their subordinate tricked them, cheated, and just simply they don't know. And they fail to make themselves relevant. So this is the internal cause of the decline as well. So you want to say that you want to see the administration led by pious people, but the problem is that those pious people are incapable to do and to lead. Because of what? Sometimes we say the dunya, we have to stay away from dunya. We have to be isolated from dunya. We have to be in the mosque only. So sometimes this type of encouragement made ourselves in decline. Because we leave all of those things to the non-pious, and they will bring with all of the tools that they have, the media, the policy maker, the regulation, the enactment and law, will all according to their understanding. Because you already phase out from them. This is happening at the time of the Salafus Saleh. Imam Abu Hanifa being invited to become Qadil Qudah. He declined, but he has the right reason because he know that the leaders at that time want him to just become a rubber stamp. So okay lah, that's fair. But we want the sincere leader inviting those scholars to become somebody in the administration sincerely, and also those leaders, those scholars also must equip themselves with the understanding on how to contribute. Because, I myself learn a lot because I've been appointed as board in several board of directors of the company, a government agency, and I can see clearly at first, I cannot understand this, I cannot understand that, and your presence is actually feel nothing by the others. So that's why I have to equip myself with an adequate knowledge and skill in order to be relevant, can contribute. So where weakened scholars and feel detached from the administration and the politics, and then what happened is that the decline will be there, and also the mislead leader just now. And then the external factors, just summary. Number one, physical colonialism. Yes, the West, especially the European, Portuguese, British, they come to the India, they come to Pakistan, they come to Indonesia, they come to Malaysia, they colonialism. They conquer our land. They bring their understanding, and then they impose on our people and our leaders. Some of our leaders, just like Mat Kilau, I don't know, try to become, the resistance. But some of the leaders, they accept. As long as they can manage and they can maintain their position, is fine for them, So that's why physical colonialism not only giving the decline to the Islamic community and nations, but also we lost our identity. At the current moment, if we go to the UK, for example, most of our students that went to university in the UK and the US, when they come back, they feel proud of the community that they are at, at the time of their study. They can bring some of their attire from the West. They bring some of this and that from from the US and from the UK. And also some culture as well, good culture especially, and some bad culture as well. But when they come to Malaysia, they don't want to, nothing. Is there anything that they can bring from Malaysia? I don't know. So we hope they can bring something good, not something bad. So physical colonialism. Number 2, the rise of wealth in the West. So West not stopping. They know how to utilize their resources. And then they create wealth by creating financial institutions, by creating financial markets controlled by them. All financial institutions controlled by the framework, the monetary policy, the fractional reserve system. Yes, you can say we have to stay away from this. Yes, you can say that, but it is not ideal. From fiqh point of view, you cannot ask people to stay away from bank just because bank is using fractional reserve system. It is wrong, because Islam, we have something else. Just like slavery, and also just now I mentioned about what? About slavery and also dinar and dirham. We have to modify. We have to be unite and demand for the change. When we are not unite, we cannot demand for the change because you don't have numbers and figures. If you have numbers, you can demand. Just like when I was in Sweden, just like when I was presenting in Ireland, the Muslim community asked me after the session about the Islamic finance and also about riba and whatnot. They say, unfortunately, we don't have this thing. So how can we deal with the bank at the current moment? I say to them, you have to be united and demand for the bank to introduce Islamic bank. With your demand, those people are capitalists. They are only looking at the demand. If there is a demand, they will happily supply. So you have to create the demand at first. Without the demand, without the unity, you cannot have good demand because your number is less. Commercially is not viable as well. And then, the last one is the productivity boom by the non-Muslim on controlling the economy because they are hardworking. At first in Malaysia, the Melayu, the Malays, they are the tuan rumah, They are the boss. They are just sitting, all right, non-Muslim, all right, Chinese, give me coffee. Give me coffee. Okay, give me this, give me that. And then when you ask them, you have to pay. At first, they are like, your servant. But they are not stupid. They are making profits, slowly but surely. And now they have becoming big entrepreneur, big corporation. And now, you cannot ask from them easily. You have to work. And then, the Malays are being appointed as the security guard sometime, apart from the foreigners. We are working in their institutions. Instead of they are working for us, now we are working for them. So why? Because we are at a comfort zone. We are at a comfort zone, We are thinking that this is our country, we should run it, and then this and that. But we are doing nothing. We are just complaining here and there, and productivity is none to be available from our own company. So that's why these are some of the external factors that lead to the decline of the Muslim community and also the Muslim politics, and also not just for this current moment, but from years, 1,000 years ago, all of these internal and also external factors has been consistently haunting the Muslim community and leaders. So we don't have the magical wand that can change this in overnight, but we still have the chance to ensure that we understand what is the success. Number one, individual level, to be aware that all of our wealth, all of our education, we need to empower them, and not only asking from the government to give us to give it to us, but also must coming from our own, just like your good self. You're coming to this program by using your own money, your own time, your own energy, and this is very, very good, but it is not sufficient. This is just a key, you know. So when you go back to your house, you need to make yourself executor to implement whatever we learn. Not only you, but all of us, the speakers, has the responsibility to perform. And not only performing well during this speech and talk, but also performing and implementing the same that we deliver. Because the responsibility for those who deliver is bigger than those who listen to the facts that we shared. As per mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kabura maqtan inda Allahi an taqulu ma la taf'alun. So there will be big, sins for those who ignore themselves at whatever they deliver, and they say, they advise, they forget themselves, and they just pointing towards others to do the changes, but they forget about themselves. So I think that's all from me. So just last thing that I want to share. Indeed, the rift between the political and intellectual leadership and scholars was one of the root cause of everything negative in the history of Islamic civilization. Number two, in the main, the rulers and leaders and scholars and the relation between them are most responsible for all good and bad fortune that may befall the Islamic community. And also the Prophet, and it is also mentioned that it is weak hadith, and some people say this is, some scholars say this is just companion sayings. That's fine, companion saying. Abdullah bin Umar, Abdullah bin Abbas. Sinfani minan nas idha salaha salaha nas wa idha fasada fasada nas al ulama wal umara. Two groups of people from this ummah, if they are good, if they are upright are all to other people, the rulers and scholars. And whenever they are corrupt are all other people. So they are the rulers or the leaders and the scholars. So in order for us to find solution, there must be a solution to a mixture of the scholars who equip themselves with the tools of administration, and also the leaders who are sincere to invite scholars to play a huge role and contribute to the upbringing of the Islamic community and Islamic nations. With that, أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
يا أمتي فاستبشري مهما تكلم